Hello everyone, I have this special video lined up for you where I will be previewing several wrestling events that are upcoming. Now, the one thing that all three of these events have in common is that I'm really not all that excited for any of them. I'm not even sure I'm going to watch them all. One of them I am definitely going to watch, but for the most part, I'm just kind of, they're just shows that are there. But since I'm here, might as well give my own thoughts, previews, and predictions of each event. 3 in total. They're all coming up within the next couple of weeks, so let's get started. Starting with the one that's happening tomorrow night. WWE Stomping Grounds 2019. All right, I've got the full card pulled up. And look, I make it no secret. I don't care about WWE at this point. I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown in weeks, months even. And I don't give a shit about this card. I just don't. Even if it was the greatest card in the world on paper, although considering I haven't been watching, I don't know how they could get me to think it's the greatest card in the world if I haven't been watching. But in any case, it's this ain't great. It's not great at all. And I've seen the low ticket sales. I've heard that that's a problem and that's a big concern, that tickets just aren't selling for this event. Maybe they'll have a big walk-up tomorrow. I don't know. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of hype surrounding this particular pay-per-view event. And it's part of the problem. You know, I just read the Nitro book, and they talked about Eric Bischoff wanted to do this New Year's Evil event on New Year's Eve 1999. And this would have come like 2 weeks after Starrcade and like 10 days before Sold Out. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, you can't do 3 pay-per-views in the span of 5 weeks. That's just ridiculous. And you know, among all the other things that they were going to do with this event, like have Kiss play music and rent out a stadium and all that other jam, and you know, get drumming up interest for said event in 1999 when everybody's panicking about Y2K and all that other stuff. They ultimately decided not to do it, but you know, oversaturation of pay-per-views was a major concern. Even in the once-a-month format, it's like, all right, we can't do more than once a month. But WWE, it feels like every 2 weeks there's a big show. They just had Super Showdown. It's like, guys, take a break. You don't need another event this soon after you just did this big fucking show in Saudi Arabia that everybody hated. It's just, there's just so much content that it's impossible to expect any reasonable human being to follow all of it. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. But speaking of a mess, let's actually look at the card. Alrighty, we've got... Are any of these pre-show matches? I don't see any... None of them are designated as pre-show, although I imagine maybe 1 or 2 of them will be. Alright, we've got triple threat for the Cruiserweight title. Tony Nese versus Akira Tozawa versus Drew Gulak. Again, I don't watch 205 Live, so I don't really care. I guess Tony Nese will retain, unless they've been pushing Akira Tozawa and Drew Gulak, and I'm just not aware of it. We've got the SmackDown Tag Team titles on the line. Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery got on a pay-per-view? Whoa. I didn't know they were still using them in any capacity, but alright. I guess Bryan and Rowan would retain? I don't know. I haven't been following. Tag team match. We've got the New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods, taking on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That strikes me as one of those matches that I can't imagine the build-up has been that great, but the guys involved will try their damnedest to make a solid match out of it. Then we have for the United States title, we've got Samoa Joe defending against Ricochet. I mean, that could be a fun match. You know, nice clash of styles, and Ricochet is bound to do something nuts, so that could be enjoyable. I'll pick Joe to retain because I just, again, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been watching. I'm just guessing at this point. All right, we've got Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Oh my God. They stunk up the joint at WrestleMania. Oh, that's not a WrestleMania rematch I wanted. All right. I guess Roman goes over because sure. Then we've got for the SmackDown Women's Championship, we've got Bayley defending against Alexa Bliss. What are they even doing with Alexa Bliss? I feel like just last time I watched, she was in a non-wrestling capacity, so I didn't even know she was back to wrestling. I have absolutely no idea who wins this. Don't really care. I'll I'll pick Bliss to win the title, but it's like, oh god, they're revisiting this feud, the one that basically ruined Bayley's career, at least initially. God, do we need to be reminded of that? Then for the Raw Women's title, we've got Becky Lynch defending against Lacey Evans, a rematch from the last show I watched. Maybe Lacey will win in some kind of shot because they're clearly high on her for some reason. And here's the thing. I don't want to shit on Lacey Evans because I saw her in NXT and I saw potential there, but she needed a lot of work. And I think they moved her up to the main roster without giving her the work that she needed. And right now she's like this work in progress that they're pushing as a finished product. And at least that was the impression I got the last time I watched. But yeah, that's going to happen. And then we've got these two matches for the two main championships. For the WWE title in a steel cage match, we've got Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler. Jesus Christ. This is a match, and again, I'm not shitting on both guys, but this is a match that I got sick of like a decade ago when they were at the Intercontinental title level. And I'm not saying that people who fought each other for the IC title can't eventually evolve and transition into fighting each other in the main event. Rock and Triple H did that, but the difference is that their feud for the IC title was awesome, and so when they moved to the big boy belt, the main event belt, it was awesome, and it felt like an evolution from where they were before. With Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler, that became the standard, let's do that match because we don't know what else the fuck to do, so they wrestled each other like 9 million times. So by the time I saw it for the last time, I was pretty much done and tired with it, so now here we are. The WWE title is on the line, and it's Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler, and Dolph especially has just been that guy that's just, they always tease that they're going to do something with him, and then they pull the plug. And I could sit here all day and list examples of how they've just cut Dolph Ziggler's legs out from under him. But, I mean, I'm sure both guys will do out there and do the best they can, and hopefully the match goes well. My guess is that Kofi retains because, again, it's Dolph, and they never seem that interested in doing anything with Dolph, and this just feels like a match that exists just to give Kofi something to do. Of course, if they do the rumored thing where Shane McMahon is rumored to defeat Kofi Kingston for the belt just so he can drop it to Roman, I will roll my eyes to the point where you think I'm The Undertaker. It's like, is that really the direction you all are going in? All right. Exciting. Riveting. And then for the WWE Universal title with to be determined, to be announced for the special referee, we've got Seth Rollins defending against Baron Corbin. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and make a guess because I know that Brock Lesnar's doing the whole Money in the Bank thing. I think Brock Lesnar's going to be named the special guest referee, and this might be where Lesnar cashes in on Seth. That's my guess. I don't know. I cannot believe that Baron Corbin is fighting for the Universal title, but that's where we are at this point. Oh my God, that looks... I mean, I look at this card and I just see this is a total throwaway. This is an absolute throwaway of a card, and maybe, and again, I'm putting myself in the mind of back when I was younger, where a mediocre card on pay-per-view back in the day still felt like it was worth it. And when I say back in the day, I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s. Still felt like it was worth it because it felt like I was waiting forever to see these things because they didn't happen all the time. But they've just oversaturated themselves with all these network specials and pay-per-views and everything else, and I'm just like, if I was paying the full pay-per-view price for this, if they were asking for the full pay-per-view price, I'd be like, oh, go fuck yourself. The only reason I would even consider watching this is because I actually do have a subscription to the WWE Network. But even then, I'm just kind of like, I'd rather watch old Nitros or old Raws, literally anything else. It's just, wow, that looks, that card depresses me. That's just depressing. It looks like no thought was put into it. It's just, this is what we're doing, guys. This is what we got. And again, I'm not shitting on the guys themselves, the talents. It's just, this is the position they've been put in. They just haven't been given anything to work with. And the show itself might not even turn out to be a flipping disaster, but it's not one that I'm overly interested in watching because A, I'm not following the stories, and B, I just don't care, and the WWE has given me no reason to care. So that's the state of things right now. So Stomping Grounds, am I going to watch it? Probably not, but we'll see. All right, now then from there we have next week's event from AEW Fighter Fest, which is actually going to be given to us for free on Bleacher Live. So that's pretty cool. Bleacher Report Live, I should say. And I like that they're giving us this event for free because I probably wouldn't have paid for it so soon after Double or Nothing for a card that's just kind of like, just a B show type of thing. And really my only intrigue with this card is to see more of the guys that I'm not overly familiar with AEW, because there's not a lot of storyline development here. There's no, obviously the title match is being saved for All Out, title match between Jericho and Hangman. They're not doing their tag title match. They're not doing their women's title match or anything. And it doesn't look like any major grudge matches are happening on this show. It just feels like this is a B show that they're just doing. And fortunately, they're giving it to us for free, which I think is cool. Maybe it'll be like the Lucha Underground Impact show where it was like, for a free show, that was fun to watch. And, as I'm trying to familiarize myself more and more with AEW as they get closer and closer to their debut on television and their major event All Out happening in just a couple months, this is a nice, way to kind of whet my appetite, I guess, until the big stuff that really matters starts happening. So, again, if they were charging for the show, I probably wouldn't have gone out of my way to see it. But since it's for free, I'm like, I'll watch it. Now, I probably won't watch it the night of because I'm going to be in Hershey, Pennsylvania next Saturday. So I probably won't be home in time to watch it live. But I'll probably check it out sometime next weekend, and it'll probably be good and a lot of fun. So here's hoping. So let's look at this card. We've got two pre-show matches. Michael Nakazawa taking on Alex Jabali, who, to my understanding, is some guy that organizes a fighting game. What is this? Yeah, basically he's a promoter for Community Effort Orlando. Fighting game community. All right, so he does. He handles tournaments and Capcom Pro Tour. So he's probably big on the video game circuit or something like that. Thankfully, that's on the pre-show because it's going to be a hardcore match. I'm not sure what else they can do with a promoter. I don't know anything about Alex Jabali, so this feels like something more for the live crowd than anybody else. Oh, we've got 3 pre-show matches. Okay, we've got Kylie Ray versus Leva Bates, who's doing the librarian gimmick, who I've said... Again, not feeling the librarian gimmick at all. That's one thing that they're doing that I'm not overly excited about. Leva Bates, she was Blue Pants in NXT, that gimmick that accidentally got over for a quick bit. So that's interesting to see her back. But again, I'm not really feeling the librarian thing. And she's going to be taking on Kylie Ray, who, as I've said before, is basically just Dollar Store Bailey. But maybe I'll get a better feel for their characters as I watch the match. Who knows? But as is, I'm not really feeling either one of them. But hey. Then finally, we have the Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, taking on SoCal Uncensored, Scorpio Sky, and Frankie Kazarian, and the Private Party. So this is a triple threat tag match. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, and the winners advance to All Out for an opportunity at a first-round bye in the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Now... I don't know, is it really a first-round bye if you have to win 2 matches to get the first-round bye? I don't know, but maybe we'll see how it all plays out. But what this match is good for is to show off the tag teams that they have. It's like, all right, there's 3 tag teams there, and then they have the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks, and the Super Smash Brothers under their new names. So they've got a pretty healthy tag division. All right, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, so that brings us to the main show. We've got Yuka Sakazaki versus Riho versus Nyla Rose, all competitors that competed at Double or Nothing. They will be in a 3-way match, so again, that's going to be their showcase for the women's division. Should be fine. Not really... Britt Baker's kind of my girl right now for their women's division. But this should be fine. This should be a nice, solid match. And again, make me more familiar with the women on their women's division. We've got Christopher Daniels versus Chima, not sure how to pronounce that. But this is a carryover from Double or Nothing, where they had the six-man tag in the opener, and now I guess the two team captains of Strong Hearts and SoCal Uncensored will be having a singles match on this show. So again, this should be fine. Christopher Daniels, it's nice to see that guy still get work and still doing as well as he's doing. I'm kind of proud of him. He's you want to talk about a veteran? That dude's been around for a long, long time, and he's still in great shape and still performing really well, and still manages to get featured in significant spots. So good for him. We have a four-way match, which I guess is also a carryover from Double or Nothing. Adam Page, the Hangman, taking on Jimmy Havoc versus Jungle Boy versus MJF. Now that match I'm actually really excited for because I want to see more of MJF and I want to see more of Jungle Boy just so I can familiarize myself with them, and hopefully I just fall more and more in love with MJF. And I expect Adam Page to win that because he's in line to possibly become the first AEW World Champion, so you would think that he would keep his momentum going heading into that big title match with Jericho. Then from there, we've got Cody versus Darby Allin. I've heard some things about Darby Allin, but I've never seen him, and so hopefully this will be a nice preview for him and a nice kind of debut effort for him. So we'll see. I expect Cody to win, but hopefully Darby looks really good in this outing. Then we've got Jon Moxley versus Joey Janela. Jon Moxley making his in-ring debut for AEW. This should be fun. This will be very interesting. Definitely want to see more of Moxley. I think he's made a positive impression in New Japan already, and now I think based on what I've seen, when you look at what he did at Double or Nothing, and then you look at what he's done in New Japan so far, it's clear as day that WWE was holding him back. It shows, and he looks motivated, he looks happy, he looks like he's got the creative freedom he's always wanted, and I want to see more of that. So give me more of Jon Moxley, please. And hey, if we get some kind of an interaction between Moxley and Omega to set things up even further for All Out, I'm all on board with that. Then we have what will probably be the main event, if I had to guess. The Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson taking on the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix, and their partner, the Laredo Kid. I expect this to be a pinball match, just crazy, back and forth, all over the place type of action. The show may end with some kind of a hot angle to kind of build more anticipation for All Out and the show debuting later this year. But as is, like I said, if it wasn't for free, I don't know if I'd actually pay for it. But since it is free, it's I'll go ahead and watch it. And if it gets me more excited about AEW moving forward, hey, what's the harm in that? All right. And finally, we have coming up on July 7th, Slammiversary 17. Jesus Christ, this company has been around for 17 years. Everybody's been predicting their demise, myself included. And now we're at a point 17 years later, I don't know how that company is still alive. I really don't. I really do not know how TNA, Global Force Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, whatever the fuck you want to call them, I do not know how they still function as a wrestling company in 2019. It is kind of amazing in a way. They have, even a cat has 9 lives, but this company seems to have 9 times 9. I mean, good lord, it's crazy. So, I think what I'm seeing here, we don't have a full card lined up, but I will make this point. I have not watched any Impact since WrestleMania weekend. And no, I take that back. I watched the Rebellion pay-per-view, but I have not watched any of their TV shows since then. And aside from Michael Elgin facing Brian Cage, I wasn't really overly aware of anything that was going on. Except I heard they brought back a lot of ECW old-timers, and I'm like, oh my god, we are still living in this ECW nostalgia. It just won't go away. It just will not stop. They're always going to do hardcore nostalgia shows. It's crazy. And I heard Sandman was on the show. I heard Sabu, obviously he tagged with RVD on the WrestleMania weekend show, and Rob Van Dam is there now, and it's like, oh my god, is this turning into ECW part 945? I'm like, good lord, say goodbye and just let it die already. My god. But anyway, let's get into the matches, I guess, if you want. Oh, and I also think it's very interesting that Scarlett Bordeaux got let go, and she asked for her release apparently, and Killer Cross has also asked for his release. Now, three guesses where they're going, and I think if AEW got Scarlett Bordeaux, that would probably be a really good pickup for them, because she's somebody who could get over. And personal opinion, I thought Impact was misusing her horribly. She came in, she was this hot, smoking, blonde bombshell, and seemed to be poised to be a mega heel in this era of progressive and women's athletics are important and all this other stuff, and she would be the one to kind of tear that down by using her body to get advantages over everybody and score those opportunities that the hard workers don't always get. But unfortunately, they made her a babyface, and then they put her in the intergender matches and had her get a bunch of wins over men, which I was like, okay, I don't buy any of that. Like, no. Now, Jordan Grace, you want to put her in that situation, that would make more sense to me. But Scarlett Bordeaux, just seemed horribly miscast as the one winning intergender matches. It just seemed ridiculous to me. And she's the one standing up for women's wrestling when she was introduced as the one who was going to use her body to get advantages. So I think she's a good performer. I think she's a good character and carries herself really well. So if AEW got her, I think that would be a pretty good pickup for them. Just personal opinion. I think she's somebody they could market around. But anyway, let's go into the matches. We've got the Latin American Exchange, Santana and Ortiz taking on the Rascals, Desmond Xavier and Trey Miguel. I'm just going to say this. I don't get the Rascals. I don't understand it. They're that 70s show, sit around and smoke pot segments. They're not funny. I've never thought they were funny. Good athletic guys, and they can do some impressive things in the ring. But as far as this comedy act goes, I'm like, I don't care. They're not funny. And that's the thing. I don't mind comedy in wrestling. I love comedy. I like to laugh as much as the next guy. But if you're trying to be funny and you're not funny, I get upset and I get annoyed. And this is one of those situations where it's like, guys, you're not funny. You're not as funny. Somebody in Impact thinks you're hysterical, and I don't know who it is, but this bit's not funny. This act is not funny. And to me, it doesn't work. And if this is the point we're at where they're the top contenders for the tag team division, it's like, oh man, did the Lucha Brothers going over to AEW leave that much of a hole in their tag division? Good Lord. I would hope that Latin American Exchange would retain the titles because I just can't take the Rascals seriously. Again, maybe they've gotten better in the weeks that I haven't been watching. Who knows? But then we've got Taya Valkyrie defending the Knockouts Championship against Rosemary, Su Yung, and Jessica Havoc in a Monsters Ball match. That could be fun. Hopefully they don't go too far with the hardcore stuff because, I don't know, sometimes with Monsters Balls there's a tendency to go a little too far with it. But, maybe, all four of these girls, they know what they're doing. Or at least I would hope so. I would hope they know what they're doing, and hopefully they can put together a nice, fun little, hardcore match. Should be good. I guess I'll pick Rosemary to win. I haven't been watching the show, so I don't really know what's going on. Then we got Moose versus Rob Van Dam. Rob goes over here. Other than that, I don't know. I'm just not overly interested in seeing Rob Van Dam in 2019. Again, no knock on Rob, but it's just last time I saw him, he just wasn't what he used to be. But then we've got for the X Division title, we've got Rich Swann defending against Johnny Impact. I'll pick Johnny Impact to win the title there. That could be a good match. That could be a nice athletic match, if nothing else. And then we got the main event for the world title. We got Brian Cage versus Michael Elgin. That could be a good throwdown power match. Unfortunately, Brian Cage, something's off about him in Impact. I don't know what it is, but in Lucha Underground he seemed awesome, and then in Impact, I don't know. Maybe it's Impact's taped too, so you would think they could fix any problems in editing as well. I was going to say, maybe it's just the heavily edited nature of Lucha Underground that covered up a lot of his mistakes, but it's like, the pay-per-views are live, and it's the pay-per-views where I'm seeing a lot of the mistakes, so maybe that's where the problem is. He's not as good live as he is in editing and taped footage. Who knows? But I would hope that this would be a really cool, knockdown, throwdown power match, and maybe Elgin wins the title here and plays monster heel in Impact. moving forward for their roster of 10 people. Who's even on the roster at this point? I don't know. In any case, that's Slammiversary. I don't know if I should even bother like keeping up with Impact at this point, because it just feels like with AEW around, like, what does Impact really offer? You know, again, not knocking those guys, and they've got some very talented people in there. I'm very high on Tessa Blanchard, who is not on the card yet. I mean, it's only 5 matches, so I imagine more is going to be added to it. But yeah, they've got some very talented people, but it just seems like a company that's waiting to die. Like, it's just waiting for somebody to just take it out back and put a bullet between its eyes. But for right now, they've got at least this show lined up, and we'll see what happens with them moving forward. So that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Be sure to keep supporting the channel. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever I post new videos. I've got a couple of videos lined up for you in the next week. It'll be a top 10 dealy related to the King of the Ring pay-per-views of old, and my this month's Star Wars book review. That one's also coming, so we'll be getting both of those within the next week. But that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you all later.